The royal family is on edge because of Prince William's recent bold move. James and Lady Louise, who are offspring of Duchess Sophie, had their names altered by him not long ago. Well, why the timing is just right. How does this affect the remaining members of the royal family, particularly the ever-reticent Prince Edward and Princess Sophie? Come with us as we dissect the most recent power move causing ripples in the royal family. The daring action of Prince William. Although Prince William appears to be the rightful heir to the throne, he is clearly not going to sit around and pretend to be a king until he wears the crown. William has been clandestinely planning the royal family's future while King Charles remains in power. Plus, he just elevated James Earl of Wessex and Lady Louise Windsor to the rank of Earl and Princess, respectively. Neither of these teenagers was ever really famous. They spent the majority of their life in relative obscurity with their parents, Duchess Sophie and Prince Edward. Just regular family and school activities, no scandals, no news. However, they have become involuntarily entangled in a far larger royal plot. The reason behind this is that royal titles will no longer be guaranteed by familial ties, as William has made it plain that his administration will need to reduce the monarchy. However, that is merely the first step. You won't believe the extent of the power struggle affecting the royal family. Accompany us. It was clear from the time William assumed the responsibilities of a prince that he wasn't only assisting his father. Efforts were being made. He slashed the number of royal event attendees, personnel, and advocates for the crown. It's all a part of his grand scheme to make the monarchy seem more approachable, contemporary, and, to be honest, less expensive to maintain. He hopes the public will recognize the royal family for what they are. Our next stop is at the home of Louise and James. They are both legally entitled to the titles of Her Royal Highness and His Royal Highness, according to the ancient regulations. Prince Edward, the king's younger brother, is their father. They are considered complete royals under regular circumstances. However, William holds a different perspective. Earning a title, not simply inheriting one, is how he sees it. In addition, he is against having 2 additional working royals until absolutely necessary. Who is he then? It appears that Prince William is actively working to thwart any attempt to grant them full titles. He is being mum on the matter. Actions, not words, convey the message. There's been no formal notification or handover. However, many in the know claim that William has instructed his staff to maintain a limited working royal circle even upon becoming king. Although it may not seem complicated, this type of action is causing quite a stir at Buckingham Palace. Respecting family lines is highly valued, especially when individuals within the family do not hold prominent public positions. William, on the other hand, thinks that's outdated. Too many royals in the past received public funds or assistance without doing anything in return, and he would rather not go down that road again. Additionally, William is dealing with an additional factor, regarding which the public has faith. Keep in mind that the latest royal scandals have been all over the news. For example, the collapse of Prince Andrew, the separation of Harry and Meghan, and complaints about the allocation of funds. William is eager to demonstrate to the general public that he comprehends the new era and the people's desire for change. As a result, he is bringing about that transformation gradually. The most recent turn of events with William has put Lady Louise and James in an uncomfortable position. They haven't broken any rules. They were compliant, avoided conflict, and occasionally offered assistance at events. In their current role, however, they serve as an example, a subtle boundary that William is using to signal the end of the royal circle. Having said that, that is not all. William has a vision for the monarchy, but not everyone in the palace is on board with it. Some feel William is going too quickly and is excluding young royals who could prove useful down the road, according to sources close to the royal family. William, nevertheless, shows little concern for that. He envisions a focused and compact monarchy in the future. No, Not 15 posh royals, not even a few cousins with titles and responsibilities, wildly waving from the balcony. Simply a modest, dedicated crew that the general population takes an interest in. Some people are happy for William because he is progressive, but others are sorry for Louise and James because their future is so unclear. Will they be mere royals in name only? That is the burning question surrounding them. When will they start helping out? On the other hand, will they merely be commoners with royal blood? Do not pause your viewing, for we are about to disclose an astonishing fact regarding the regal family. It appears that William is currently trying to guide them towards more secluded lives. Unless absolutely required, he would prefer that they remain out of the spotlight. This signifies that there will be no public pronouncements or changes in status, but rather a subtle change that reveals William's intentions as king. James and Lady Louise Windsor were never the type of royals who actively seek out the spotlight, if I may say so. And it is the target for our next examination. Their lineage is royal, not derived from titles, and it began the day Lady Louise Windsor and James Earl of Wessex were born. Duchess Sophie and Prince Edward made a deliberate decision for their children. They wished their children could grow up free from the constraints of being a royal family. And it was successful, mostly. Louis and James were not as well known as other royals, since they did not reside in palaces or receive extravagant media coverage. They spent their childhood in a rural house in Bagshot Park, close to the local school, horseback riding trails, and weekend getaways. They were spared the spotlight and royal procession that befell Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Harry, among their cousins. The fact that the majority of the population was unaware of the royal family's appearance until they were in their teens was the most terrifying aspect of them. There was absolutely no chance involved. For Sophie, it was all part of a grand scheme for her kids. Sophie recently told the media in an interview that her children have titles if they want to use them. I expect to meet the baby soon, but we don't have any plans just yet. Yet, they are raising them with the knowledge that earning a livelihood would likely be a need. That lone quote summed it all up. No, the royal couple didn't want their children to grow up to be servants. They desired for them to lead authentic lives, working actual jobs. Louise, in particular, avoided the limelight. Despite making rare public appearances, such as accompanying Queen Elizabeth's casket, in the burial procession she maintained a low profile. She was finally granted the opportunity to begin using the title, Her Royal Highness Princess Louise of Edinburgh, in 2021, when she reached 18 years old. What she says, though, will surprise you. Despite the fact that a private choice was made, without any major announcement, affirming her desire to maintain the modest lifestyle her parents had provided her with. Everyone took notice of that. It's shown growth. Recall that Louise and the Queen had a strong relationship throughout their childhood, and that they even shared a passion for horses and carriage driving. But she turned her back on a life as a princess, rather than embrace it, when the time came to make a decision. We assume that, having learnt Lady Louise's position, you are curious about James. James hasn't had to deal with that situation just yet, but he will. Likely, the same question will be asked of him when he is 18 years old. Is the title significant to him? Will he eventually assume the public responsibilities of a prince? Nobody can predict his decision just yet. His profile has been considerably more shrouded than Louise's. He is only seen at big royal ceremonies and seldom gives public speeches. Even though Prince William has just tightened the royal circle, speculation about his future has already begun. Because of that, James's choice is more complicated. It appears that they really appreciate these two's upbringing. Seeing the royal children act more like any other group of teenagers is, according to many, a welcome change. Just a quiet, private life, free of royal turmoil and major headlines. There has been a marked difference in the coverage of Prince Harry, Meghan, and the younger Cambridges compared to this. The tough part, though, is about to surprise you. Choosing not to accept a title is more than just avoiding attention. Turning down royal funding is another consequence. The royal family receives its funding from three primary sources. It is believed that Louise or James would be expected to undertake public duties, attend events, and become full-time working royals if they were to assume full royal obligations. With that would come safety, fame, and, of course, wealth. But you'll also be giving up some personal space. And that's a significant compromise. Early on, Duchess Sophie and Prince Edward made it plain that they did not want their children to develop a sense of entitlement. As a safety net, the crown was not something they desired. That's why, instead of imposing regal life on them, they let them choose for themselves. With or without the prefix Royal Highness, Louise and James continue to be members of the royal family. Some portion of the public's attention will be focused on them forever. There is already a lot of strain on them, and now Prince William is taking over and making changes behind the scenes. In particular, James. Do you think he'll do like his sister did, or will he forge his own way? The rarity of this circumstance should be emphasized. The majority of royals do not have the opportunity to make such a selection. Ordinarily, titles are hereditary and passed down automatically. However, Louise and James are among a more recent and subdued generation of royal children who came of age during a time when both the globe and the royal family were undergoing profound transformations. Louise is already settled on a decision. Next up comes James, whose decision could reveal a lot about the younger royals' perspective on their role in the modern world. We have witnessed Prince William's efforts to bring the royal family into the modern day. Two young royals find themselves smack dab in the center of this unfolding vision. Even though they aren't always in the spotlight, their actions now could subtly influence the royal family's trajectory in the years to come. It's quite daring, which demonstrates that William isn't hesitant to question established norms. His focus is on the future, not on the here and now. We wonder what kind of lives Louise and James will lead now that we know how this impacts them. Is it going to be a silent acceptance? Will their parents resist, or will they shock everyone by forging forth independently? The Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh's reply. Keep in mind that Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh has always maintained an air of composure, serving as a steadying influence within the royal family, even when others have sought to center the spotlight on themselves. Recently, though, things have been heated behind the scenes, and Sophie happens to be in the center of it all. She is quietly frustrated by the royal title drama involving her children, James and Louise, particularly as Prince William begins to mold the monarchy in his image. As for the future of the monarchy, I believe William has a great deal of responsibility. Sophie was taken aback by this. Her basic plan had been with Prince Edward for years. Put Louise and James through their upbringing without interference from the media or the royal family. They wished their children to lead ordinary lives, free from being used as royal symbols, as we stated before. For that reason, they eschewed the titles of prince or princess. There was no disrespect to the throne. The decision was made as a parent, but today it is at odds with William's new vision for the royal family. A more rigid monarchy, with fewer unnecessary royals and a stronger emphasis on the top tier, is what William seeks. That is, he, Catherine, and their 3 children. At 38 years old, the future monarch of Britain already had 3 children from his own family. That means individuals like James, Louise, Edward, and Sophie are left out in the cold.